What is the most OP build for Holst in Fire Emblem Three Hopes? Holst is a very strong character. In fact, he's the strongest strength-based character I've made. He's like the Hubert of combat arts. So to put it lightly, he's crazy strong. The best part about this is usually magic is the way to go, since magic tends to hit a lot harder than combat arts do. But Holst is here to prove otherwise. I present Thunder Blade Holst. Our class of choice today is Mortal Savant. Holst's unique ability gives Mortal Savant that speed advantage to not feel as clunky, making it a really strong option. You could also go Trickster here if you'd like. I would not recommend Dancer though, since the speed buffs do not stack. So, how did he get his name? Well, from Thunderbrand, of course. I know this isn't his relic, nor does he have one, but trust me when I say it should have been. This sword was designed for him. Thunderbrand comes with two big advantages for this build. The first of which is Relentless Barrage. This ability reduces combat art cooldowns by 50%. We've already seen how strong this ability is for mages with Sutunger's Mystery. The same thing applies here. We also get a special combat art called Foudroyant Strike. All you need to know right now is this ability is really good. Even more so on a character like Holst. Our accessory is going to be the Lightning Dragon sign, for a couple reasons. The first is, if we didn't use a crest as our accessory, we would be taking constant damage. The second reason is, if we weren't using the proper crest for the sword, we lose out on Foudroyant Strike. Of course, the crest itself isn't so bad either, giving us a 10% chance to increase the damage dealt by combat arts. Our battalion for this build is going to be Resist Axes. It was brought to my attention that all heavy armored units use an axe, but not all axe wielders are heavy armored units. So anytime I've ever suggested to use a heavy armored unit on a battalion, feel free to swap that to axes for a larger advantage. For our combat arts, as already mentioned, we're going to be using the Foudroyant Strike. This ability takes some getting used to, so I'm sure there's more than a few of you who don't like this ability. It's a bit awkward to time. You need to treat it as if you're going through the enemy with the attack. Since one of the perks of this combat art is a guard break, no matter where your enemies are, you will knock them into the air and they will land right in front of you. It kind of works like warrior specials in a sense, that it automatically brings the enemies nearby. Our second combat art is Electric Grounder. There's not much to say here. It's a strong combat art, and it gets even stronger when we power it up. Just like Foudroyant Strike, it has a short cooldown, and it's based off of magic, meaning it's going to do some crazy damage to low resistant stat enemies. Holst also is a very stat balanced unit, so his magic is almost as high as his strength. Holst has three unique abilities, starting with Galvanic Surge. Attacking greatly increases the unique ability gauge. When full, activate it to temporarily boost your speed and imbue your attacks with lightning. Just a reminder, this speed buff is not related to your speed stat. The speed buff in question is based on your movement and attack speed, which in my opinion is even better. If you've played Annette or Ferdinand or maybe Felix, then you know how strong this speed buff could be. Just with Holst, it's a lot shorter, but you also gain the lightning imbuement. Our second ability is called Natural Warrior. When our HP is at 50% or below, this ability massively increases damage dealt to enemy stun gauges. This is a really sad day. I almost built Holst with an HP draining sword for this ability, ultimately decided against it since it was just damage on a stun gauge. If this was a massive increase to your overall damage, this build would have turned out very differently. Our final unique is True Champion, which increases damage dealt by 50% when ordered to defend. Our class abilities are Swordfare, which gives us a crit hit chance boost since we're using a sword, and Axebuster, which gives us a 95% damage boost against axes. As for our abilities, watch till the end to see where I got each one. Sword Prowess gives us a 30% damage boost while wielding a sword. Wild Abandon greatly increases our damage done, but also greatly increases our damage received. Absorb Charm boosts our charm stat for each commander we defeat, and it lasts for the entire battle. Offensive Tactics gives us a 20% damage boost as long as our battalion is still active. Essence of Lightning transforms our magic, combat arts, strong attacks, and class actions into a much stronger version. In this case, it powers up our combat arts. Life Taker gives us a chunk of HP every time we defeat an enemy commander. Patience greatly increases damage done to the stun gauge while the enemy is readying an attack. With our extra speed, we tend to want to overextend to do some extra damage, and this rewards us for doing so. Big Game Hunter increases our damage against all commander units, which is a very, very nice ability to have. Nullify Magic nullifies enemies' offensive magic. And Charm Catalyst increases our warrior gauge fill rate based on our charm stat, which normally wouldn't be too great, but we're also running Absorb Charm. I rarely get a chance to run an Absorb and a Catalyst of the same stat in one build, so this is a good opportunity for that. Our major stats for this build are Strength, Magic, Dex, and Speed. I know it's a lot, but we actually could just outright ignore Magic. If you level Holst as a War Master 120 times, you get a nice boost to your Strength, Dex, and Speed, but somehow your Magic doesn't fall behind a whole lot. Mine landed 13 points below my Strength, even though I didn't boost it any. Holst is one of those big potential characters, so if you want to use stat boosting items, I recommend maxing Strength and Magic. Now, how does this build work? Well, you rely on both of your combat arts to do some pretty nice damage. Most importantly though, the low cooldown we gained from Thunderbrand allows us to spam them one after the other. By the time you get through your combat arts, you should have a fully charged unique. While I tested out this build, I found that every time I used one of each combat art, I had a fully charged unique that I could then swap to. The buff doesn't last very long, but it's a very strong buff that allows you to get in some serious damage. So effectively, what I do is I use my combat arts to charge my unique, then activate it and start doing some crazy damage. When it runs out, I use the combat arts to charge the unique again. Rinse, repeat. Holst also has the ability to charge his warrior specials fairly quickly, and they do some crazy damage as well, so feel free to use them often to dispatch commanders quickly. Our Awakening takes a bit of a back seat this build. Since it's not going to last very long and it takes a long time to charge, I recommend you save this for boss encounters. This build overall is a little more difficult to use properly. You need to get the feel for Foudroyant Strike and learn the timing of when to activate your unique. But when you got this down, Holst becomes top 5 for sure as far as DPS. This is very impressive for a build mostly designed around strength. As for where I got each ability, Sword Prowess is from Myrmidon, Thief, and Mercenary, Wild Abandon from Brigand, Absorb Charm from Dark Bishop, Offensive Tactics from Wyvern Rider, Essence of Lightning from Warlock, Life Taker from Dark Mage, Patience from Trickster, Big Game Hunter from Mortal Savant, Nullify Magic from Dark Bishop, Charm Catalyst from Dancer, Foudroyant Strike from Thunderbrand, and Electric Grounder from Trickster. If you liked today's video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more.